November 30th, 2021 หลวงพ่อโพสีสุริยะ Khemarato Satya Dharma Reflection. If there's still involvement with this and that, there will be a lot of Vedana. Uninvolved itself, go ahead. Awakening that is not relevant to itself, like this. If awakening within awakening, there will be Vedana. There's still fixation and involvement within something. With this, the force will not be beyond itself. It will be the force that is worldly ways. Awakening in the awakening, looking in the looking, seeing in the seeing, knowing in the knowing. This is the force in the worldly way. Always like that, on and on. That will be always with Vedana and hindrances. Uninvolved within itself, awakening that is not relevant to itself, then the awakening will be beyond itself. The force of Nirodha and Nibbana, Sunyata Nibbana, blessing samsara in the way that is endless. That is the power that is unlimited. Uninvolved within itself, uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Awakening that has nothing to do with itself. The awakening that is already there. Physical awakening of the sight. Awakening in the looking, seeing and knowing within eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind, within its own condition. Awakening that is not relevant to itself. In this way, it will be beyond Vedana and hindrances, the force that is beyond itself. Non-attachment that is not relevant to itself. Don't be stuck with just non-attachment. Mai or non-attachment shall not be in the way of the stillness or indifference or leisurely, nor in the way of self-extinction or stillness within oneself. That is a lot of Vedana or sensations is still insufferable. With such a state, when meeting samsara, there will be a frown on the face. Encountering with Vedana and the vibhak with samsara, there will be a withdrawal disgracingly. All that significance and meanings and involvements. It has to be beyond that. It has to be beyond involvement, significance and meanings. Uninvolved within itself, go ahead. Automatically, there will not be any involvement with anything whatsoever. Stillness or indifference has nothing to do with itself. With this, it will be beyond the worldly force. Let's break through and purify in the way that is immeasurable. Help through the unwinding and releasing in the way that is immeasurable. Brightening that has nothing to do with itself, go ahead. Don't let there be a parasite within the plong or the brightening. Awakening that is not relevant to itself. Don't become like a parasite within the awakening. Don't cling on to the awakening. Don't be obsessed with awakening on and on. To give meanings and significance and fixation, it will just continue in the way within realm of existence of the mind. Uninvolved within itself, uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. then there will be a purification instantaneously for all that involvement, for all that fixation. Then there will be no more unbearable feelings. This is not about someone who creates and someone who undergoes. This is not about involvement, fixation, significance and meanings, or something within something. To be busy, being someone who creates, someone who undergoes, it will be only about vibhak. It is a difficulty. It will be difficulties with Vedana and hindrances. The vibhak or the retribution of the Vedana sensations and the vibhak of the obstructions or hindrances. Uninvolved within itself. Don't be obsessed with significance and meanings within awakening, looking, seeing and knowing. Don't be obsessed with meanings and significance and involvement within the plong or the brightening. Don't be obsessed with meanings and significance within the emptiness. Is there anything as such? That's the parasite. Don't be busy being a parasite within knowing and seeing and within the mind. All the mind that gives significance and meanings and involvement in anything, it is the center of increasing Vedana and Nivona or hindrances. It is also the center of accumulating the sensations and obstructions. It is only about increasing the sensations, the obstructions, and the difficulties. Uninvolved within itself to be given to the utmost. The awakening that is already there, uninvolved with awakening itself. With this, it will be beyond awakening. To be obsessed with involvement to the awakening, it will remain on and off with sleeping and awakening on and on. Sometimes drowning, sometimes not. Sometimes drowning, sometimes not. That is unbearable. All that is significance and meanings in the awakening is unbearable. There is still someone who creates and someone who undergoes, still remaining as realm of existence and cycle of becoming. Uninvolved with itself, stillness that has nothing to do with itself, equanimity that doesn't involve with itself, it will not become realm of existence within the mind. However, there is always creating realm of existence through remaining within equanimity. The stillness and the indifference still remains as realm of existence. Moreover, all that chattering realm of existence within looking, seeing and knowing, within thoughts, recalls, fabrication of the mind, which is still fixated and involved within itself, which is still having significance and meanings in itself. These mental processes are not purified by the uninvolved itself. They are not well purified, no matter what it will become realm of existence within the mind. It is an endless samsara within the mind, always circling. So let's uninvolve within the uninvolved itself. Uninvolve even within the uninvolved itself. With this, there will not remain of being as a parasite within state of mind or state of Dharma attainment. Uninvolved even within itself. Go ahead. Let's not be obsessed to be drifting leisurely within the stillness, on and on. Being still or not, indifferent or not, ordinary or not, is not the way. To be deludedly involved and fixated with anything will instantly turn into circling realm of existence. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself, well with it. Uninvolved even within itself, well with it. With this, the Anupav or the mighty force will be automatic in the way that is purifying through the emptiness without limits. It will turn into the Anupav of purification of the extinction and emptiness, which is called blessing through Nirodha and Nibbana. To be busy sharing mindfulness, concentration, contemplation, meditative power, special insights and wisdoms. It is sharing of realm of existence on and on. This is the sharing of the Sumutai on and on, sharing the causes of suffering and the suffering to others on and on. Being obsessed with significance and meanings, involvement and fixation. This is being busy sharing samsara to others. Purify through the extinction and the emptiness. Go ahead. Let's not be obsessed to share the involvement. Why sharing involvement and obstruction on and on? This gonna waste our time to follow them, to correct for them. When they cannot end themselves, we have to follow to correct them again. It's a waste of time. Non-attachment is not relevant to itself. Don't be limited and stuck within just the non-attachment. Don't use my or the non-attachment as a realm of existence within stillness and indifference. Even the uninvolved is not even involved with itself. This is not about taking even one thing to create a realm of existence within the mind at all. This is not about samsara. It's not a circle. all that is given in each Buddha era is not samsara, is not a circle, is not a realm of existence. Therefore, if the mind is still extremely involved, extremely fixated, thus it will remain as exceeding samsara, exceeding realm of existence within the mind. The world and Dharma, when is taken as a dwelling and a fixation, it remains as a realm of existence within the mind. It's not even aligned with the essence of the Buddhas, even a tiny bit. Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Then it will be truly uninvolved, truly unobstructed. Uninvolved within itself. Uninvolved even within itself. So that there will be a purification within the delusion to involve within the body and the mind, the elements and aggregates. The delusive attachment as a parasite, clinging to the body and the mind. Itself that has nothing to do with itself is actually from uninvolved that is not involved even with itself. It's not about anything within the non-attachment itself. Dharma reminder of cutting, of ending, cutting and giving ending within itself, within the reminder itself, often reminding as such. This is not about taking something to be a refuge or as an anchor. Itself is not about anything within itself. Being obsessed to search for a refuge, being obsessed to search for an anchor. There's merely an obsession with desire, searching for a refuge, searching for an anchor, while not giving ending to the desire itself. There's merely an obsession with attempting to cling, attempting to anchor, while not giving ending to the attempt to cling itself, so that there will be ending. It is constantly making oneself as a parasite. Attempting to cling, attempting to anchor, continuing as a parasite on and on. Uninvolved with the non-attachment itself. Don't just test or try. Sometimes attaching, sometimes not. Let's not be limited to just testing and trying. Let's not be obsessed to just testing. Uninvolved itself with both attachment or non-attachment. Then it will turn into the purification of emptiness and extinction with the whole samsara. This is not about sharing samsara towards samsara.
เองเลยสิเองเลยที่มันไม่ใช่อะไรนี่เองเลย
Itself เองเลย That is not about anything within itself.
ไม่ใช่อะไรนี่เองเลยลูกไม่เกี่ยวกับเองเลย
It's not about anything within itself. It's not relevant to itself.
คิดว่าตื่นอยู่เนี่ยมันใช่ได้เหรอ
Do you think that awakening that is there is already okay?
ใช้ได้เหมือนกันได้แค่เป็นขี้ข้า
It's okay, but that is just about being slave to samsara.
คิดว่ารู้อยู่เนี่ยมันใช่ได้เหรอ
Do you think knowing is okay?
ได้เหมือนกันได้เป็นขี้ข้าไอ้ตัวหลงรู้
It's okay, however, it is gonna be just a slave to the deluded knowing. Uninvolved even within itself. With this, it will purify the delusive knowing, the delusion and delusive attachment that overlays the knowing will be purified. Uninvolved within itself constantly. Any conditions that are there are not relevant to themselves. Any attributes that are there are not relevant to themselves. Elements are not relevant to themselves. Dharma is not relevant to itself. All things are not relevant to themselves, uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. With this, it will enable Nirodha and Nibbana, enable to bless through Nirodha and Nibbana. This is not about using the mind in this way and that way, feelings and emotions in this way and that way for blessing. It is not about using opinions and meanings for blessing. That is the vibhak. It is not something to share. It is not something to teach. That is the vibhak. Vibhak means difficulty. Any emotions, any characteristic traits are all about vibhak. Don't share it. Don't lead towards sharing and teaching. Don't share and teach the vibhak, the karmic difficulties towards samsara. Why not? Because it will turn into the vibhak that bounces back to oneself, turning into the overlay of the difficulty on and on. Uninvolved within itself, go ahead. It's not about anything within the uninvolved itself. Non-attachment that is not relevant to itself. Any conditions or any states of mind that is not relevant to itself. With these, the non-attachment will not become realm of existence. Any states of mind will not be taken as a realm of existence. Even mind has nothing to do with mind itself. Will there be anything left? What is there that is going to be left with an obstruction? Will there be any delusive attachments to be obstructed here? Will there be a delusion that is going to be left to be deluded with anything? Uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself. Will there be a delusion to be deluded with anything at all?
จะไปเหลือแล้ว
Will it be left?
ล้างทั้งตัวมันเองล้าง
Purify itself and all things simultaneously,
คลายช่วยหลุดช่วย
helping through unwinding and releasing for oneself and all things simultaneously.
ขยันเตือนล้างเตือนหน่อยสิลูกขยันสรุปล้างสรุปหน่อยสิ
Earnestly remind oneself to purify the reminder itself, earnestly making a conclusion that purifies itself.
นึกอย่างอื่นยังนึกได้เป็นคุ้งเป็นแควเป็นล่ำเป็นสัน
While thinking about other things can be coherent and substantial.
ครึ่งวันก่อนวันเป็นวันก็ยังนึกได้คิดได้สิ่งนั้นสิ่งนี้สเปซสปะสเพละไปหมด
Half a day or a whole day, thinking and recalling can be active, sporadically, about trivial things,
ไอ้นานาจิตตังนานาจิตกระตังอะไรน่ะ
as of various minds, various viewpoints,
คิดอยู่นั่น
always
รู้
thinking.
สติได้ล้างรู้สติเองสิ
Remind oneself and purify the reminder itself more
ล้าง
often.
สรุปเอง
The conclusion then make a conclusion to purify itself.
ไม่เกี่ยวไม่กระทั่งไม่เกี่ยว
Unvolved even within the uninvolved itself, that is the conclusion that purifies itself, the reminder that purifies itself.
ไม่ใช่มัวแต่
Don't be obsessed to recall something that is not ending within itself, thinking about something that doesn't give ending to itself.
ฟูหัวแฟบอยู่นั่น
Always busy with floating head or deflating head on and on,
หัวแฟบหัวฟูอยู่นั่น
bloating and deflating head on and on.
จะหาบดหาหมอมารักษาหัวให้มึงหวัดไหวที่ไหนอ่ะ
How can there be any doctors to treat you, huh?
พอแต่สร้างอยู่นั่นน่ะ
To treat your head, always creating,
หัวฟูอยู่นั่น
always having bloating head and deflating head on and on.
มันจะมีหมอพอรักษาหัวไหวไหมเนี่ย
Will there be enough doctors to treat such a head?
สรุปล้างสรุปเองดิ
Let's make a conclusion that purifies itself.
ดำริล้างดำริเองรู้สึก
Thoughts that purifies itself, reminder that purifies itself,
ล้างกันในประโยคเองนั่นแหละลูก
sentences that purify themselves.
ขึ้นมาแล้วมันจะล้างช่วย
Think of
ตัว
it.
เองและสังสารวัฏ
It will purify itself and samsara simultaneously.
ยิ่งกว่าเพชรพลอยยิ่งกว่าเพชรนินจินดายิ่งสมบัติยิ่งกว่าสมบัติใดๆในโลกล่าซะอีกนะ
This is unlike gems and worldly treasures.
สมบัติทั้งโลกนี้ไปซื้อเอาก็ยังไม่ได้เลย
All treasures in the whole world cannot buy such a thing.
นิโรธนิพพานน่ะ
Nirodha
ไม่
Nibbana,
ใหม่ซะเอง
without mind itself, without non-attached itself,
ถ้าไม่เกี่ยวกันซะเองเนี่ย
without the uninvolved itself,
ไม่มีทางหรอก
is impossible.
ต่อให้มีร้อนพ้นขนาดไหนมันก็ท่วมหัวท่วมตัวไปเฉย
Even there are immeasurable treasures, they will merely pile over one's head.
ๆวิบากทั้งนั้น
They are all of the vibhag, a burden.
พอภูมิมากเข้าเวทนาก็มากขึ้น
The more realm of existence it is, the more vedana it will be.
วันๆนึงก็มีแต่สารวนสารวน
Day by day,
ของที่มี
just
ของที่เป็น
preoccupied with what one have and what one is.
มีแต่สมหัวสมตัวอยู่นั่น
There's merely piling over oneself, preoccupied over oneself.
ประโยคที่มาล้างกันในประโยค
Sentences that purify themselves remind more often. That is reminder that purifies itself is about cutting in itself, extinction within itself, the reminder that purifies itself. Then it will not become samsara in recalling, in thinking, in reminding.
ระลึกอะไรที่มันไม่จบในการระลึกเองระลึกอะไรที่มันไม่ล้างกันในการระลึกเองนะ
Any reminding that is not giving ending to itself, that doesn't purify itself,
มันจะเป็นสังสารวัฏทันที
it will become
การระลึกนั้นน่ะ
samsara instantly.
ทันที
It will create pitfall right away.
มันจะวนเวียนมากลายเป็น
It will
วิบาก
circling around within reminding again and
ชนิดไหน
again.
ที่มันไม่ล้างกันในบัญญัติเอง
Any terminologies that don't purify themselves,
อุปโลกชนิดไหนที่มันไม่ล้าง
any form up that doesn't purify itself,
มันจะกลายมาเป็น
it will turn into vibak circling
ในอุปโลกนั้นทันที
within such a form up right
เรียก
away.
ว่าเอาบัญญัติ
In other
เอาอุปโลก
words,
มาเป็นสังสารวัฏกันไปซะเอง
the form up and the terminologies are taken to be samsara itself.
เอาความเห็นความหมายมาเป็นสังสารวัฏกันไปซะเอง
Taking opinions and meanings as samsara
ความเห็น
itself,
ที่ไม่ล้างในความเห็นเอง
opinions that don't purify themselves.
เองเลยสิเองเลยที่มันไม่ใช่อะไร
Itself
เองเลยลูก
that is not about anything with itself,
ที่มันไม่เกี่ยวกับเองเลยเนี่ย
is not relevant to
ไม่ใช่อะไร
itself,
เองเลย
is
เนี่ย
not about anything within itself.
เองเลยลูกไม่เกี่ยวอะไรเรื่อย
Uninvolved within itself more constantly.
ไม่เกี่ยวไม่กระทั่งไม่
Uninvolved even with the non-attachment
เอง
itself.
เลยไม่เกี่ยวอะไรเรื่อย
Uninvolved
ไม่เกี่ยว
within
ไม่กระทั่ง
itself,
ไม่
uninvolved even within the non-attachment itself.
ไม่ก็ไม่เกี่ยวกับไม่เอง
Non-attachment that is not relevant to itself.
มันจะได้ล้างไอ้
With
กา
this,
ฝาก
it will purify the
ทา
parasites,
นเกาะเกี่ยวโมหะ
the delusive
ทานเกาะ
attachment,
เกี่ยว
the delusion that is clinging, is the parasite.
กายเกาะจิตเกาะ
Clinging to the body, mind, knowing, seeing, looking, clinging to stillness, indifference, clinging to aggregates and dharma, clinging to senses and sense objects. Once there is a wrong beginning, always grasping, there's only an obsession with anchoring, searching for a refuge for the delusive attachment. It is invalid since beginning. Searching for an anchor for the delusion and delusive attachment, that is invalid since the starting.
มันก็เป็นเพราะเป็นภูมิมาเรื่อยสิ
It always becoming realm of existence.
ไอ้มัวแต่พุทธังสนัง
The obsession with reciting
สังฆังสนังนะฉามีแบบผิดๆเนี่ย
Buddhang Saranang Kachami and all that in the wrong way.
มัวแต่ขอถือเอา
Being obsessed to take a refuge, to anchor
เอา
and
ตั
to
วหลง
grasp,
เอาไปเอามันก็พลาดตั้งแต่ต้น
using the delusion to grasp is a mistake since the beginning.
นี่เป็นเพราะเป็นภูมิไปเรื่อย
It's always creating realm of existence within the mind on and on.
เป็นภูมิมาเรื่อยไปเรื่อย
Go on back and forth in such a way.
เองเลยสิไม่นะลูก
Non-attachment within itself, go ahead.
ไม่ก็ไม่เกี่ยวกับไม่
Non-attachment that is not relevant to itself,
มัวแต่อะไรในสถานะ
so that there will be ending. Don't be obsessed with meanings and significance and involvement within anchoring.
กาฝากอยู่สิ
That is remaining as a parasite,
เกาะอารมณ์ไปเรื่อย
clinging to emotions and feelings on and
ความ
on,
เห็นความหมายไปเรื่อย
clinging on to opinions and meanings, being as parasites on and on.
นี่ดูว่าต้นไม้ต้นไหนถ้ากาฝากมันเยอะตายหมดทั้งต้นนะมึง
Look at the tree when there are a lot of parasitic plants on it. That tree will be dead.
ช่วยกันเกาะ
Helping each other to cling, to fixate, to anchor. The whole tree will be dead.
อะไรก็ยึดไปหมด
Everything is clung to. Feeling, thought, recalls, opinions and meanings, this and that. Always clinging. State of mind, state of dharma. Clinging and clinging to it on and on. This is like death again and again, being stuck in the samsara as such.
ตายกี่รอบก็ไม่จบตายกี่รอบก็ตายไม่จริงเวียนว่ายตายเกิดอยู่นั่นแหละ
No matter how many rounds of death, there is no ending. No matter how many rounds of death, it's not real death. There will be an endless cycle of birth and rebirth.
เข้มๆหน่อยสิลูกเองเลยสิไม่เข้มๆหน่อยเองเลยสิไม่เกี่ยวเข้มๆหน่อย
Let the non-attachment, non-attached to itself, absolutely. Uninvolved within the uninvolved, absolutely. The word absolutely means the essence of deliberate cut-through. The Anupap or mighty force of cutting within the cutting itself is deliberate, is absolute. And to use this deliberate cut-through and absolute cut-through to help samsara simultaneously. Non-attached within itself simultaneously with everything so that it will be deliberate cut-through for all and everything. It is the purification of extinction and emptiness itself, in fact. Uninvolved within itself, go ahead. So that there will be no obsession within tossing and turning of the mind and emotions. Uninvolved within itself, so that it will be truly uninvolved with the mind, uninvolved truly within emotions and feelings. The vibhak comes and goes by itself. There is no need to chase it away. Karma and its cycle is coming by on its own. There is no need to create a ritual to chase it away. Otherwise, there will be a lot of sorcerers. Any vibhak that is coming in by itself, let it be. It's coming by itself. There is no need to create a ritual to chase it away. Whatever you create the cause, the result will be there without invitation. It will come in by itself. But it also will go by itself. There is no need to create a ritual to chase it away. Otherwise, there will be a lot of sorcerers. Uninvolved within itself, uninvolved even within the uninvolved itself, so that there will be deliberate purification of extinction and emptiness. There is no need to indirectly practicing any type of Dharma. There is no need to be deludedly practicing anything. Let's not be obsessed to arise and to cease in the way of practicing on and on. The more practice, the more arising and ceasing will happen within the practice itself. Why go indirectly? Non-attached itself, non-attachment to the non-attachment itself, uninvolved with the non-attachment itself. The ongoing delusion to practice itself is the arising that is ongoing itself. Practicing mindfulness gives rise to the mind within itself. Practicing concentration gives rise to the mind within itself. To practice power of perseverance, contemplation, spiritual insights, and wisdom, there will be an arising mind within itself.
เจริญจิตชนิดไหนทั้งโลกิยะทั้งอะไรก็ตามที่ปรากฏขึ้นมันก็ก่อเกิดทั้งนั้นแหละ
To practice any type of mind, whether it is worldly or anything else that is formed up, the entire thing is the becoming. Non-attached within itself, then automatically it will not be about arising and ceasing. Uninvolved within itself, then it will give ending to the arising and the ceasing automatically.
จะได้โดยนิพพานล้างสังสารวัฏไปได้เรื่อยๆตลอดสังสารวัฏ
Then it will be possible for Nibbana to purify samsara constantly throughout samsara's time.